I never thought dying would feel like slipping into someone else's hangover. But that's exactly how it hit me, waking up in Evelyn's body. Her Botox-smooth skin stretched tight over bones that reeked of entitlement, while my own flesh and blood form strutted around in my husband's arms like she'd won the goddamn lottery. The betrayal? It wasn't just the swap, it was the lifetime of whispers behind my back, calling me the trophy wife leech, while they funneled my code through their shady offshore accounts to keep their empire afloat. And now, with her voice purring my name from my lips, I realized the real hook. I'd have to become the monster they made me out to be to drag them all into the abyss they dug for me. My name is Lillian Harper, or at least it was, before that freak accident in the family lab turned my world inside out like a cheap suit from Canal Street. It was a Tuesday in late October, the kind of crisp New York fall day where the leaves on Central Park bleed red and gold, mocking the blood money that funded our Upper East Side penthouse. I'd been married to Theo for 8 years, the golden boy of the Whitaker dynasty, heirs to a pharma fortune built on pills that numbed the pain of the 1% without ever curing the rot underneath. His family, God. Where to start? Evelyn. His mother. The ice queen in Louboutins who viewed me as the help with a ring on it. Victor. His father. A silver fox with a Rolodex of senators and a conscience outsourced to Cayman Islands trusts. And Theo? Sweet. Who loved me in that passive way men do when their trust funds insulate them from real stakes. They called me useless from day one. Lillian. Darling. Why don't you leave the numbers to Victor? Evelyn would coo over Sunday roasts at their Hamptons estate, her fork spearing a rare fillet like she was pinning a butterfly. Useless. That's what she typed in the family group chat after I fixed their quarterly reports riddled with creative accounting that would have landed them in Rikers if the IRS ever got wise. I was a coder. See? Fresh out of MIT with a degree in cybersecurity that paid for my student loans while Theo's daddy footed his. But in their world, a woman's worth was measured in heirloom pearls and the ability to smile through gallbladder surgery without opioids. Ironic, given their company's opioid empire. I didn't mind at first. Hell, I thrived on it. Late nights in the guest room of their sprawling lab in Westchester, hacking together algorithms to scrub their ledgers clean. It started innocent. Theo asked for help with a glitch in their R&D budget. Turned out, it was embezzlement, funneling millions into black market trials for an experimental neural interface. Some sci-fi wet dream called Project Echo. Soul-sinking, Victor called it, eyes gleaming like a kid with a new drone. Swap consciousnesses. Upload minds. Cheat death for the elite. They laughed it off as vaporware. But I saw the demos. Rats with human memories. Flickering in cages. One night, after too much Veuve and Victor's third scotch, he let slip the truth. Lillian, you're godsend. Without your firewalls, we'd be toast. I fixed it all, the shell companies, the encrypted transfers, the digital ghosts that hid their sins. They relied on me like a junkie on a fix. But come morning, darling, stick to the flower arrangements. Useless. The word festered, a splinter under my nail. The swap happened on All Hallows' Eve. Because of course it did, the Whitakers loved their gothic flair. We'd gathered at the lab for a routine calibration, Evelyn insisting on family bonding over champagne flutes etched with their crest. Project Echo had evolved. No more rats. Human trials. Off-books. Volunteers from the underbelly, addicts. Undocumented workers. Ghosts the system forgot. I was there to oversee the code. The failsafe that kept souls from fracturing mid-transfer. But Evelyn. she had other plans. It started with a prick, her manicured nail slicing my palm during a toast. To new beginnings. Lillian. Blood mingled in our glasses. A crimson swirl neither of us noticed until the room spun. The machine hummed to life. A hulking MRI crossed with a particle accelerator. Lights pulsing like a migraine. Theo was in the observation booth, flirting with the tech. Victor, nursing his drink by the console. I felt it then, a tug, like my spine was being unzipped. Evelyn's eyes locked on mine, not with fear, but hunger. Finally, she whispered, as the world dissolved into static. Waking up was worse than any hangover. I was in her body, 62 going on 40, thanks to fillers and surgeons on Park Avenue, but it felt wrong, like wearing a latex mask that itched from the inside. My hands, her hands, trembled as I touched my face, feeling the unfamiliar ridge of cheek implants. Across the room, in my 28-year-old frame, Evelyn blinked awake, her soul puppeteering my limbs. She sat up, flexing my fingers, admiring the manicure I'd gotten that morning at Bliss Spa.
Oh.
Lillian, she purred in my voice. Throaty and perfect. This is divine. Panic clawed at me, but her body betrayed nothing, poised, unflappable. Theo burst in, all concern and cologne. Mom? Lil? What the hell happened? Evelyn, in my skin, fluttered my lashes at him. A glitch, baby. But look, I'm fine. Better than fine. She stood, wobbling only a second before striding over, wrapping my arms around his waist. Victor followed, face ashen, but his eyes darted to the monitors, vitals stable, sync at 98%. Containment protocol, he muttered, slapping a button that sealed the lab. They thought I was her Evelyn, the matriarch, struck dumb by the machine's backfire. I tried to speak, but her vocal cords were trained for command, not screams. Theo, I managed, in her clipped patrician tone. It's me.
Lillian.
Swap now. They stared, then laughed, nervous at first, then cruel. Mother's lost it, Evelyn said from my mouth.
Stoking theo sợ chết.
The stress. We should get her to the Hamptons. Rest. Betrayal hit like a freight train. This wasn't an accident. Evelyn had tampered with the code. I saw it in the logs later, when I hacked their servers from her antique desktop. A single line. Inverted polarity. Designed to bounce the transfer.
Why?
The secret she'd buried deeper than their offshore vaults. Project Echo wasn't for immortality. It was for absolution. Years ago, Evelyn had greenlit illegal trials, kids from foster homes, dosed with prototypes that fried their synapses. One lawsuit slipped through. A whistleblower orphan named Marcus Hale, who'd clawed his way to a DA's office in Brooklyn. He was closing in, subpoenas raining like confetti at a funeral. I knew because I'd buried it. 2 years back, Victor handed me a drive. Clean this up,
Lil.
for the family. Emails, ledgers, autopsy photos of those kids, ghosts with track marks from needles meant for pain relief. I encrypted it all, routing through VPNs in Estonia, making it vanish. They praised Theo for stepping up, but it was me, always me, the useless one holding the dam.
Now.
With Marcus Hale indicting the Whitakers, Evelyn needed out. A clean slate in a younger body. My body, untainted. No priors.
No whispers.
I'd take the fall, The deranged widow confessing to corporate espionage. Or worse, the lab explosion that'd kill Evelyn and frame me for sabotage. They bundled me, Evelyn's shell, into the Bentley, sedatives pricking her veins.
Theo được ốc.
Humming along to Springsteen, oblivious as ever. Evelyn, in my skin, texted from the passenger seat. Love you.
Babe.
Can't wait for Paris. Paris, our dream trip. Now her escape. At the estate, they locked me in the solarium, a glass cage overlooking the Atlantic, with a nurse on call and gin on tap. Rest, mother, Theo said, kissing her, my forehead. We'll fix this. Fix this. As if I were the glitch. Alone, I smashed her iPhone against the marble floor, shards glittering like broken promises. Her contacts, senators, surgeons, a hitman listed as Gardner. I dialed the last. Voice steady despite the tremor. It's Evelyn. Double the usual. The girl, Lillian. Make it look like suicide.
Click.
Then laughter, hers, from down the hall, toasting with Victor to the future. That night, under a moon like a sickle, I plotted. Her body was a weapon, access to vaults, whispers in boardrooms, the kind of power that bent laws like pretzels. I'd play the grieving matron, unravel their empire thread by thread. Useless? They'd learn. I'd make them beg in my voice before I burned it all down. The first move was subtle, a confused email from her account to Marcus Hale. Mr.
Hale.
The ledgers you seek. Check the Echo subfolder. Regrets.
A.
Whitaker. Sent from her yacht in the Mediterranean. Time-stamped for alibi. By dawn, FBI vans clogged the Hamptons driveway. Agents in windbreakers swarming like ants on a picnic. Evelyn, in my body, played the shocked daughter-in-law to perfection, tears streaming down my cheeks as they cuffed Victor mid-sentence. This is a mistake. Call my lawyer. Theo paced the foyer, phone glued to his ear, screaming at fixers who weren't picking up. I watched from the balcony, Evelyn's silk robe fluttering like a flag of surrender. A faint smile on her, my lips. Darling, I called down in her voice. All honey and venom. Fetch me some tea. This family's falling apart. He didn't suspect a thing. Why would he? I was just mom. Addled and ancient, sipping Earl Grey while the empire cracked. But inside, Lillian Harper seethed, fingers itching for the keyboard. The real work started at midnight, when the house slept under the weight of NDAs and lithium. Her office, mahogany and malice, was a fortress of secrets, floppy disks from the 90s, hard drives etched with dead kids' names. I plugged in, her arthritic hands fumbling at first, then finding rhythm. Firewalls crumbled under my touch. I'd built them. After all. By 3 a.m., I'd leaked the motherlode to WikiLeaks, unredacted, with my annotations like footnotes from hell. Exhibit A, foster child 47, neural overload, cause of death listed as accidental. The web lit up, headlines screaming Pharma Dynasty's body count. Stock plummeted 40% before the bell. Shareholders howling on CNBC. Evelyn, hearing the chaos from the guest suite, stormed in wearing my pajamas. My face, twisted in fury. What have you done? You old bat. I met her eyes, seeing myself reflected back. Young, fierce, unbreakable. Me? I'm just resting.
Dear.
As ordered. She lunged, but I sidestepped. Her body had reflexes honed by Pilates and passive aggression. We grappled, silk tearing. Her nails, my nails, raking her own cheek. Blood welled. A thin line like a barcode. "You'll ruin us," she hissed. "Good," I whispered, shoving her toward the door. That's the point. She fled, but not before I saw the fear real, bone deep. For the first time, Evelyn Whitaker tasted powerlessness. And damn, it was sweeter than any mimosa brunch. The fallout was biblical. The kind of storm that drowns Hampton's hedges and washes debutante secrets onto page 6. By noon, the estate buzzed with lawyers in $1,000 suits, barking into earpieces like rabid seals. Victor was holed up in the library, shredding documents with a zeal that would have made Nixon blush, while Theo chain-smoked Marlboros on the terrace, a habit I'd nagged out of him years ago, now revived in my stolen skin. Evelyn played the victim card masterfully. My husband's company, our legacy, targeted by radicals, she sobbed to Anderson Cooper via Zoom. My eyes wide and guileless, mascara running in artful streaks. I watched from the breakfast nook, nibbling on avocado toast that tasted like ash in her mouth. Too many years of kale smoothies had ruined her palate for real food. Useless, they called me, but who'd jury-rigged the VPNs that hid their dirt? Who'd ghost-written the op-eds in the journal defending their innovative trials?
Me.
All me.
And now,
with the feds combing the lab, every bite I'd buried was resurfacing like bodies in the Hudson after a mob hit. The controversial part? I didn't stop at leaks.
no.
That was too clean. Too American dream. Pull yourself up, expose the crooks, fade to black with a TED Talk. Revenge. The dark kind that festers in Jersey basements and Alabama backwoods. Demands intimacy. So, I escalated. Using her Amex Black limit, none, I wired 50 grand to a ghost account, then funneled it to a PI firm in Queens. Dig up dirt on the Whitakers, I instructed in her clipped tone. Voice modulator making me sound like a Bond villainess. All of it. No filters.
The PI.
A grizzled ex-cop named Rizzo with a voice like gravel in a blender. Didn't blink. Lady, for that dough, I'll bury him. By evening, dossiers hit my inbox. Evelyn's affair with the family accountant in '09. Siphoning funds for a Swiss clinic that cured her migraines with coke-dusted scalpels. Victor's poker nights at the Friars Club, laundering bribes through celebrity roasts. And Theo, oh,
God.
Theo, banging his yoga instructor in our bed while I debugged their apocalypse. Photos, timestamped, zoomed on his wedding ring glinting like a middle finger. Betrayal layered on betrayal. Each revelation a knife twist. But the deepest cut? The crime I'd borne for them. Flashback to 2022. The night of the lab fire. I'd been tweaking Echo's neural net when alarms blared, smoke billowing from the sublevel, where they'd stashed the discontinued prototypes. Dozen vials of neurotoxin, the kind that melted synapses like butter on a griddle. Victor's slush fund play, sell to cartels for enhanced interrogations. I smelled the setup, Evelyn's perfume lingering. Her access logs fudged. Flames licked the walls, acrid and unforgiving.
Okult veran.
But the feeds showed shadows moving, interns, low-level, locked in. I smashed the glass, dragged 3 out coughing and blind, my lungs searing. Fire department called it heroism. The Whitakers called it Lillian's little mishap. They pinned the arson on me anonymously, tips to investigators claiming I'd torched it for insurance. Jealous of Theo's real future. cleared after months of hell. But the scar tissue remained, lungs that wheezed in winter. Trust evaporated like morning fog.
Now.
In her body. I wheezed deliberately during family meetings, a reminder they ignored. Mother, you look peaked, Theo said that afternoon, handing me a shawl, my shawl, cashmere from Bergdorf's. Evelyn shot daggers from across the table. My fingers drumming.
She's fine.
Focus on the board call. The board call was carnage. From her oak desk, I muted the line and whispered into the speaker. Gentlemen, Evelyn Whitaker orchestrated the echo breach. Proof incoming. Then I hit send, Rizzo's gems. Anonymized. Laced with enough legalese to trigger SEC probes. Stocks tanked another 20%. Whispers of class actions from the opioid widows. Victor slammed his fist. Veins bulging like map lines to hell.
Who?
Tell me who. Evelyn pointed at me. Theatrical gasp escaping my lips. Her. She's been rambling. Saying mad things. The swap. It broke her.
Tao not that.
All earnest concern. Wrapping an arm around her, me. Mom's not herself. Dad. Maybe assisted living? Assisted living. For the woman who'd birthed their fortune. I laughed then. A cackle that echoed off the wainscoting. Her vocal fry turning it sinister.
Oh.
Darlings. You have no idea. Night fell like a guillotine. The estate lights flickering under generator hum. Power grid sabotaged by my midnight script. A DDoS from her IP. Alone in her suite. Lavender-scented and lonely. I plotted the next phase. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd always played by rules, merit scholarships, ethical hacks for NGOs. But rules were for the useful, not the used.
Now.
I'd bend them until they snapped. First target, Theo. I lured him to the wine cellar with a note in her handwriting. Son, we must talk. The merger. Midnight. He arrived rumpled. Ty askew. My body moving with his old swagger. Mom, what's this about? I poured Merlot, swirling it like blood in a chalice. The affair.
Theodore.
With Kendra. And the others. His face drained, wine forgotten. How? Doesn't matter. I stepped closer. Her perfume, Chanel no. 5, cloying. Sign this. A non-disclosure. Ironclad. Ceding his shares to Family Trust, me. Refuse? Photos hit TMZ at dawn. Tagged Whitaker wife swap. He signed, hands shaking, tears carving tracks down my cheeks. I love her.
Mom. Lil.
This. It's killing me. Love. I sneered. Her lips curling. You loved relying on her code, while calling her useless. Now live with it. He left broken. And I felt the fracture, a sliver of guilt for the boy I'd married. But guilt was a luxury. Survival was the game. Dawn brought helicopters. Press corps swarming the gates like vultures on roadkill. Evelyn barricaded in the panic room, monitoring feeds on my tablet. I joined her, slipping in with a tray of scones, domestic, disarming.
Eat, dear.
You'll need strength. She whirled, my face feral.
You bitch.
This is your doing, the leaks.
The PI. How?
Evelyn, I said softly, dropping the act.
You stole my life.
Fair's fair. Her eyes widened, recognition dawning. The swap's echo, residual neural links, flashing memories. My MIT dorm. Code scrolling like scripture. Her debutante ball. Hollow under crystal chandeliers.
You. You're still you.
Horror twisted her features.
Impossible.
The sync was permanent. Nothing's permanent in your world. I locked the door. Her biometric scan sealing us in. Remember Marcus Hale?
He's got the full archive now.
And your little hit on me? Cancelled. The gardener sends his regards. She lunged, nails out. But her body, my body, was stronger, unscarred by time. We tumbled, screens shattering, alerts blaring, intruders at perimeter. Feds. Or worse, Hale's team. She pinned me, breath hot on her own neck. I'll end you. Again. But I twisted, knee to gut, whispering, you already did. By making me nothing. The door buckled. Agents pouring in. Evelyn Whitaker? You're under arrest. She screamed as they cuffed her, my wrists burning under steel. I stood, dusting her skirt, watching them drag the matriarch away in the body I'd built from scratch. Theo found me later, shell-shocked amid the rubble.
Mom?
Lil, what the fuck is happening? I smiled, her crow's feet crinkling. The truth, darling. Finally, but truth was a blade, double-edged. As sirens wailed into the fog, I wondered how long before they realized the old lady was the threat. And when they did, would mercy be on the menu? The arrests hit like a nor'easter, swift, soaking, stripping the Hamptons' gloss right off the Whitakers. Victor in cuffs at LaGuardia, mid-flight to Dubai, his Gulfstream impounded like a bad rental. Theo under suicide watch at Bellevue after Rizzo's photos went viral. Theo cheats trending harder than a Kardashian breakup. And Evelyn? Hauled to federal holding in my sundress and stilettos. Fingerprints, my fingerprints, inked on booking sheets for conspiracy. Manslaughter. The works. The press feasted. Pharma princess in perp walk shock, blared the Post. My face splashed across every feed. Innocent and accusatory. I played the bereaved widow, Evelyn's widow, from the estate, granting interviews in her cashmere twin set, voice quavering just so. My family. Shattered. But justice for those children. It's all I have left. CNN ate it up. Donations poured into Hale's victim fund. My PayPal link buried in the fine print. Useless Lillian. Architect of their downfall. Poetic. Really. But power's a drug. And I was hooked. With Victor's assets frozen, I discovered hidden safes, codes I'd cracked years back, during game nights that were really laundering seminars. Gold bars. Deeds to Montana ranches. A Picasso sketch that could have bought a small nation. I liquidated quietly, routing to untraceable crypto wallets via her blockchain savvy. Turns out, Botox moms love NFTs. 10 mil by week's end. Enough to fund the endgame. The controversial decisions? They came fast. Moral lines blurring like rain on a windshield. First, the hit on Evelyn. I'd cancelled it. Sure. But temptation whispered. A burner call to the gardener. Double. But slow. Make her talk first.
No.
I hung up. But the thought lingered. What if she confessed everything? Including the swap? Insanity plea. Sure. But the truth would out. Souls bartered like stocks. Me the ghost in the machine. Instead, I went darker. Infiltrating the lab's remnants, sealed by feds. But her credentials opened back doors. I accessed Project Echo's core. The machine. Scorched but salvageable. hummed under my touch. Residual data. Sync logs showing Evelyn's intent. Her neural map laced with malice. I uploaded it to the dark web. Auctioned as immortality hack. Buyer beware. Bids climbed. Russian oligarchs. Silicon Valley psychos. A Saudi prince with a god complex. Sold for 8 figures to a faceless corp in Shenzhen. Let them play God. I'd seeded viruses in the code. Backdoors to fry the user's grid. A digital Trojan horse. Theo's release was Messier. I visited him at Bellevue. Her pearls clacking like rosary beads. He was a wreck, unshaven. My tattoo on his arm mocking from under the Johnny.
Mom. Lil.
Is it you? In there? His eyes searched her face for mine. Desperate. I sat, taking his hand, rough now, without my lotions. It's me.
Te.
The real me. Lie or truth. The swap blurred us all. They took everything. Your dad. Your mom gone. He sobbed, shoulders heaving. I knew about the trials. The kids. I covered for Dad, once. Fudged reports.
And you. God.
Lil. I called you useless because I was scared. You were better than us. Smarter. If you'd left. The confession cracked me, her body racked with unfamiliar sobs. I'd borne his sins too. That report had fixed it, burying metrics that screamed overdose. For love.
For family.
Then help me end it, I whispered. Sign over the trust. Walk away.
He did.
Eyes hollow. Controversial? Coercing your husband. Ex. Now, to poverty? The tabloids would crucify us. Stockholm Syndrome spouse. But freedom's price is steep, and I paid in advance. With funds flowing, I assembled the army. Rizzo's network, hackers from anonymous splinter cells, ex-feds with grudges, even a defrocked priest from Boston who preached on corporate purgatory. We met in a nondescript diner off Flatbush, her fur coat drawing stares amid the formica. Burn the Whitakers, I said, voice low. But leave the innocents. Innocence. A joke. Their empire touched everything. Lobbyists dosing aides with prototypes. Board members with mistresses on payroll. We struck surgical, doxing donors, phishing execs, deepfakes a victor in compromising. Positions. Chaos reigned, suicides in C-suites. Mergers collapsing like Jenga towers. Evelyn, from her cell, raged in depositions, my voice shrill on leaked audio. That witch in my body, she's the devil. The climax brewed in the Manhattan courthouse. Hale's trial a circus of suits and stunners. I testified as Evelyn, perched in the box like a raven in Chanel. My son, obsessed with Echo. He pushed the trials, ignored the risks. Lies, each one a barb. Theo watched from the gallery, gaunt and ghostly, nodding like it absolved him. Hale, sharp in his off-rack suit, cross-examined gently. Mrs. Whitaker, you seem unwell. The accident. Swap, I blurted, her tongue loosening under lights. Gasps rippled. Project Echo swapped us. I'm Lillian Harper. She stole my life to escape yours. Pandemonium. Bailiff barking. Judge slamming gavel. Evelyn, chained at the defense table, shrieked. Lies. She's senile. But scans fMRI from the lab, subpoenaed showed anomalies, dual neural signatures. My patterns in her skull. The courtroom emptied into frenzy. Reporters mobbing. I slipped out a side door. Rizzo waiting in a black Escalade. Boss lady. That was ballsy. Now what? Now, I said, staring at the skyline, jagged teeth biting the bruised sky. We finish it. That night. The real revenge. A private jet to the Hamptons. Echo machine crated in the hold like Frankenstein's bride. Evelyn had a conjugal, ironic, in the estate's ruins. Feds allowing family closure. Theo waited in the solarium. Evelyn trussed like a holiday goose. My body bruised but defiant. You came to gloat, she spat as I entered. Her no. My eyes blazing. To swap back, the machine whirred to life. Cables snaking like veins. Theo hesitated. Needle in hand, sedatives for the transfer.
Lil. Mom.
This could kill you both.
Risk it, I said.
Controversial to the core, playing God with stolen tech, chancing madness for justice. But in action, that was death. We synced. Souls tearing free, agony like birthing lightning. Evelyn fought. Neural spikes lancing my mind, memories of her abortions, Victor's beatings, the hollow core of wealth. I pushed back, my code, my fire, flooding her with the kid's screams she'd silenced. Emergence. I gasped to my skin, lungs whole, heart pounding true. Evelyn in hers, withered and wild,
Clawing at the air. No.
Give it back.
Tell what, Chet? Torn.
It's over. But over? As sirens wailed, bomb threat. My diversion, the twist loomed. Hale's call buzzed. Lillian? The logs. You weren't just the fixer. You greenlit the first trial. For your thesis credit. The revelation landed like a sucker punch from a ghost, the kind that haunts Jersey turnpikes and Rust Belt graveyards, whispering sins you buried under student loans and white picket fences. Hale's voice crackled over the line. Tinny from the courthouse annex. Your MIT advisor? Whitaker funded. That prototype you tested on volunteers, homeless vets. Off books, it was Echo's genesis. You signed the waiver.
Lillian.
As lead researcher. My knees buckled. The solarium floor cold marble under my palms, my real palms. Calloused from keyboards. Not caviar spoons. Flash, sophomore year. Desperation clawing. Mom's chemo bills stacking like cordwood. Dad's mill job vaporized by NAFTA. Whitaker scholarship dangled. Fund your dreams.
Kid.
But the fine print? Assist in trials as needed.
Idinodda.
Eyes on the check. As they wired the first subject, a vet named Ray. Eyes vacant from ghosts. Just monitoring, they said. He seized mid-sync. Foam flecking lips. My code the trigger. I'd buried it deeper than their ledgers. Erased logs. Forged vitals. Called it anomaly. For the money. For survival. Useless? No. Complicit. The truth reversed. I wasn't the lamb. I was the wolf pup. Teeth filed down by their silver spoons. Evelyn cackled from her restraints. Her face a roadmap of fractures, time's cruel cartography. See? Girl, we're the same. Thieves in silk and circuits.
Tell thee guy.
My savior turned stranger. Syringe clattering.
Lil.
You knew. I forgot. I lied. But it curdled. Truth serum in the air. Thick as fog off the sound. Or I made myself forget.
To stay.
With you. He backed away. Door slamming like a judge's gavel. Footsteps echoed, feds. Closing the net. Hale's tip-off, my prints on the original sin. The swap, not just escape, Evelyn's gambit to expose me. The weak link, while she played innocent in youth's disguise. Cunning bitch, reversing the fall guy. I untied her, hands steady despite the quake. Run, I said. Controversial to the end. Freeing the monster. Buying time for.
What?
Absolution? Or just one last con? She staggered up, bones creaking like a haunted house. Why? Because they win if we fight dirty alone. I handed her the crypto key, half the haul. Enough for a new life in Marbella. Far from extradition. Her eyes, faded blue, searched mine. You're soft.
Lillian.
Always were. Soft wins wars, I shot back. Go. She fled through the French doors. Into the night, shadows swallowing her like a bad debt. Sirens crescendoed. Floodlights painting the lawn in stark white. I stood, arms raised, as agents swarmed. Lillian Harper. Hands where we can see 'em. The trial was a threering shitshow. Whitaker's in the dock. Me the star witness turned co-conspirator. Evelyn vanished. A ghost on Interpol's wall. Her absence fueling conspiracies. Body swap cover-up viral on TikTok. Victor took a plea. 20 to life in Otisville, white-collar purgatory.
Teo.
Diversion program. Community service teaching coding to foster kids. The irony a bitter pill.
Me.
House arrest in a Brooklyn walk-up. Ankle monitor chafing like regret. Hale visited weekly, coffee in hand, his orphan eyes probing. You could have run too. Why stay? Twists on me, I said one rainy afternoon. Skylines smudged through bars. I built their cage. Only fair I lock myself in. He nodded. No judgment, just the weight of shared scars. The Victims Fund? It's thriving. Your leaks saved lives. Small mercy. But nights, when thunder rattled the sash windows, Evelyn's ghost whispered, useless?
Nah. Indispensable.
Until you weren't. I'd wake sweating, fingers tracing the swap scar, a faint line on my temple, neural ink fading. Ending? Debatable as a Supreme Court leak. Happy. Empire crumbled. Kids avenged. Me penning a memoir from the clink, swapped souls, a coder's revenge. Tragic. The mirror shows a stranger. Complicity etched deeper than code.
Teo White Monty.
Postmarked from AA meetings in Sedona. Forgive us? I don't reply. Forgiveness is for the useful. But power? I reclaimed it. One line at a time. From my laptop, monitored. But loopholes abound. I see new hacks. Open source echo for good. Neural nets curing PTSD. Not peddling it. The Whitaker's fall? Catalyst. Not grave. Last hook. A package arrives. Unmarked. Postmarked Madrid. Inside. Evelyn's pearls. Note in her script. Wear them. Boss suits you. I clasp them on. Cool against skin that's mine again. And smile into the storm. Who's boss now? The one who survived the swap and the soul-searching. In America's underbelly, where dreams glitch and betrayals bufferload, revenge isn't a dish. It's the whole damn server farm, humming eternal.